Now, we'll see at the end of the decade if the decision we and I am making now ends up making sense, right? This is why I'm documenting everything I do here on YouTube and on social media, is because I'm comfortable with my decisions, letting the record stand as is in real time, documenting the decisions we're making and I'm making as a businessman, and we're gonna let the record show what ultimately works. Hey, it's Jason here, and in this video, I want to talk about our growth strategy with Brighter Utilities going into 2022 and beyond versus what our strategy for growth has been in years prior. So in years prior, first of all, the foundational piece of our growth, as far as our business plan or our strategy, has been emanated largely around M&A, aka the idea of buying businesses. And if you've been watching this YouTube channel over the last year and a half, 2 years, you know I've done multiple deals, four to be specific, in the last, I don't know, it's been a little over 2 years now. Did the deal out in Nebraska, did the deal here in Clearwater, and then did two more deals here in Tampa Bay. The two most recent deals happened in 2021. The Clearwater deal happened in 2020, and my first deal happened in 2019. So most of what I've been talking about here on YouTube and most of what I've used as far as my main growth strategy has been buying businesses. And by and large, it's treated me quite well. But what I'm seeing now and what our growth strategy is becoming as we go into the rest of the decade is actually more attuned to organic growth, still leveraging finance, still leveraging scale in all forms and facets. And that's why I love M&A, right? Is because you can acquire a lot in a short amount of time. I mean, in one day, you sign one document, you put ink to one contract, and in theory, you just bought yourself in that one little contract, a 3 million, a 5 million, a 20 million, a $100 million company. However, what we're seeing right now is one, the cost of capital is likely going to be increasing in 2022, which isn't a big deal in and of itself. But two, the bigger thing that I'm actually much more interested in and much more focused on and candidly concerned about is how costly it is to buy medium to larger size businesses, especially in the prized service-based sector where we play, most notably. And so what we're seeing is for the kind of businesses that we would like to be buying in 2022 and beyond, the earnings multiples are in the realm of 5 to 10 times earnings. 5 to 10 times earnings. And at that price point, I can pretty much tell you, I don't need to do a deep case study here to know, that basically you're going to be needing to partner with a considerable equity partner because you're not going to get a traditional lender that's going to lend at 5 or 6 or 7 times earnings. It's just not going to happen. And so what we're looking at as we really want to grow and scale is we're actually looking at mostly organic growth. And we're really playing with the idea of opening different offices in the coming years in new markets, in penetrating new markets totally organically. And I just want you to think for a second. I mean, I look at it like this. If you could go out and buy a $5 million business, I mean, obviously it's going to cost you $5 million. You're going to have a combination of debt and equity to do that deal. That's like any deal you're ever going to do. By the way, there's going to be someone in the chat that say, oh, it could be 100% debt and 0% equity. True. It could be 100% equity and 0% debt. True. So there's that. But it's going to be debt, equity, or a combination of the two. Okay, now we're specific. Let's move along. But for the price of $5 million, you take $5 million, and how many vans in our business, we're, one of the big points that you need, obviously, to drive revenue, you have to have a van to show up at a customer's job site or a customer's home or residence or building to perform service. So how many vans could you acquire for $5 million? Well, let's see. Let's say you got top of the line $50,000 van, which would include the racks and the outfitting and everything. Let's do 5 million divided by 50,000, and you're looking at 100 vans, right? You could buy 100 vans for $5 million. For $5 million, if you, however, buy a $5 million company, that's probably going to come with about 25, maybe 30, maybe 35 vans. And by the way, those vans are going to be older vans. Many of them are going to be 200 plus thousand miles, 100 plus thousand miles, right? So they're going to be used vans. Between 25 to 35 vans is basically what you're going to acquire through M&A if you buy a company for $5 million. Because yeah, you're going to get the vans, but then you're also going to get that book of business. The phone's going to be ringing already, which is great, right? But you're going to use $5 million in leverage to buy that business, and you're going to get, again, 25 to 35 vans. Versus, again, if I went out and just bought $5 million worth of vans, the top of the line, brand new vans with a beautiful wrap, with a ladder rack on top, a pipe rack up on top, racking systems on the inside, and even inventoried for 50 grand, I can get all of that. And I can have 100 fully outfitted vans. What we're seeing, and what I'm seeing personally, is for I mean, for pennies on the dollar, I know using Google ads and using Facebook ads and using online marketing tools, I've been able to get the phone to ring and get customers to call us. And I can do that, with, a couple $1,000 budget a month. And I can get the phone to ring for about $25 to $40 per interested call, right? And so you think about the cost of acquiring a book of business that gets people to call the phone for you, call you for service, acquiring that business relative to the cost of, working with Google ads and Facebook ads and other online ad platforms to get the phone to ring through online marketing channels. And I'm here to tell you, if I bought a $5 million business and let's say 1 million of the 5 million was comprised of physical assets, what's the other $4 million in that purchase price comprised of? Is mostly going to be the book of business, the branding, and the goodwill. And I'm here to tell you for the remaining and the employees and all of that. And that's good stuff. I don't want to say that there's not a place for M&A, but we're getting to the point where for that extra $4 million, I can get the phone to ring for pennies on the dollar. I mean, literally like a penny on the dollar compared to what it costs to buy the book of business. Same with recruiting. Having manpower is really important. Having great employees around you is really important. But when you go out and buy a business, especially once you have a really clear culture already about how you want to grow and expand your business, often what I've found is when you buy a business, often you're buying a business with a very different mindset, a very different culture. And really, it's difficult to make that existing business integrate into what you already have. I'm also here to tell you that for literally a penny or two on the dollar, compared to buying a whole bunch of employees in quotes, and I don't mean buying like it's slavery, I just mean buying in the sense that, when you buy a business, the employees are coming with. I know I can spend $500 to $1,000 a month on Indeed, and I can get 15, 20, 25 different interviews racked and stacked in a given month, right? So I know that with a $5,000 a month budget, I can make the phone ring to run 5 or 6 or 7 service vans for $5,000 a month. I know, which is $60,000 a year. I know that for about a $15,000 a year budget, about $1,200 to $1,500 a month max, I can have 5 or 10 or 15 different interviews a month. And basically what I'm telling you is, other than the vans, in my business, there's only 3 core pillars that you really need to grow a business. You need the vans, you need the manpower, skilled manpower, vans that are racked and look beautiful and look great and have your company and all of the stuff. So racked and outfitted vans, qualified employees, and then the phone to ring with customers who want your products and services. And in this case, plumbing and air, right? That kind of service. And I guess what I'm really getting at here is it's been a great thing to buy the existing businesses that we've bought. It's been great for us. It was great that we bought B&B, Professional Plumbing. It was great that we bought 2 AC businesses, brought them in, and then made B&B Professional Plumbing and Air. That was great. I don't regret it for a second. But now that I've kind of seen behind the curtain and I know how the sausage is made, metaphorically speaking, and I'm looking at the cost of buying more businesses, and I'm also looking at the cost of opening up a shop organically, and I'm realizing, holy crap, I can scale 3 to 5 times faster with 3 to 5 times less capital by buying 5, 10, 15, 20 vans at a time, leasing a location for a couple of grand a month, and go, right? So I really think we're looking at, I'm thinking about 5 to 10 cents on the dollar, maybe 20 cents on the dollar to be conservative, to open an organic shop relative to what it would cost to buy an existing shop. And if we want to use this branding in subsequent markets, it's actually a cost because you get rid of that goodwill that you bought with the existing business, right? You have to take off the branding of the existing business. You have to strip the vans. You have to get the employees to buy into a new vision. Before they were bought into some other company, now they're buying into this vision. So a lot of them are going to quit and leave. Look, here's what I'm really saying. M&A has its place, and someday when we exit in 10 or 15 or whatever years, when we someday decide to exit, we'll probably get bought by a huge private equity firm. I mean, that is someday, well down the road, when I have a gray beard, we'll sell to some huge buying outfit. It'll probably be through an M&A deal. So M&A is an inherent part of what we're doing. It's how we've started our business by buying the 3 businesses with Brighter Utilities we've done in the last year, and it'll likely how we exit someday through M&A. But it's that middle phase of not going from 0 to 1, right? Going from 0 to 1, it was great for us to do M&A, right? The final exit point will probably be through M&A as well. So I think our starting point was through M&A. Our exit point will probably be with M&A at a higher multiple than what we bought all the existing businesses for. But in the middle, I think I can grow many more offices with 10 to 20 cents on the dollar in capital requirements basically keep a lot of that debt off the books, not be buying the goodwill and not be buying all this other stuff that I don't really need. I'll just buy vans, put my wrapping on it, make the phone ring, and use Indeed to recruit. And I think we can scale this business much more greatly in the 2020s by doing it that way than through a lot of M&A. So we're really changing our strategy as we go forward. Now, again, I've learned a ton about M&A. I'll always still be in the market of M&A to find total steal discount businesses, but my scope of what kind of businesses I want to buy is getting narrower and narrower and narrower now that as an operator, I feel more and more and more confident. And really, it's those three core areas: getting the phone to ring, having vans, and having qualified individuals that are in those vans to drive revenue. And then, of course, you have to have the back office staff as well. And given that I have the office here, I already know what that back office looks like. I already know the pieces I need to make the vision I have come to life. Now, in different sectors where the M&A multiples are lower, maybe I would be continuing with M&A. Likewise, if I were taking more of a, almost call it a private equity approach to scaling a business as opposed to a little bit more of a good old-fashioned business approach to grow a business, maybe I'd be doing a lot more M&A and a lot less organic scaling. But for us, I'm becoming more and more of a CEO and more of a business builder in a little less of a private equity M&A guy, if that makes sense. Now, we'll see at the end of the decade if the decision we and I am making now ends up making sense, right? This is why I'm documenting everything I do here on YouTube and on social media, is because I'm comfortable with my decisions, letting the record stand as is in real time, documenting the decisions we're making and I'm making as a businessman, and we're gonna let the record show what ultimately works. I've documented what's happened with M&A. I've documented some of the pros and cons of what we've done thus far. Now I'm documenting that we are continuing to evolve, and we're looking at ourselves more as an organic business that's going to go through traditional business growth, through financing vehicles and using admittedly finance to help us grow, but using that finance not to buy businesses, but rather to buy vans, to use recruiting dollars to get the right people into the right positions and seats, and then also to use those financed funds to drive revenue by getting the phone to ring. And we think that's the best way for us to grow in this decade based on M&A valuations and the like. Now, I'm so glad I started by buying a business as opposed to trying to start day one from scratch. Buying the business and buying a couple of businesses to start and really building that great foundation was huge for us. I'm so glad I did that. I'm not regretting that I've done M&A up until this point. It was a great thing. And buying businesses in that bigger SBA size range was the perfect decision because the multiple still stay at about 3 times earnings, but you get a nice bit of meat on the bone. It's been really a great spot for us. I think for me, that's one of the best things a starting entrepreneur could do is go out and buy a several $1 million business with SBA finance, $2 to $5 million. I think that's a great strategy. I recommend that for a lot of entrepreneurs. And in a different world, if I viewed myself more as a private equity guy and more of a capital raiser and an M&A guy, and if I really thought that was my best place where I could thrive, and I feel very confident in myself in those areas. I do, to be blunt with you. I feel very confident. It's not a lack of confidence in that area that has me changing my strategy. It's more of, given the marketplace, given the cost of capital, given the cost of business acquisition, given all of those things, and given the skill set I admittedly know I have with regards to recruiting, with regards to online marketing, and with regards to financing vans, and given what I know about how much you're paying for business acquisitions relative to how much I'm paying to do those aforementioned three things organically or closer to organically, I see a better value prop for myself as a shareholder and for the other shareholders I have at Bright Utilities to go with a more organic path than I do with an M&A-driven path. And so that's something we've been talking about a lot internally. We're to the point now where we're pretty much confident and certain that that's what we're going to be mostly doing for the rest of the decade. Of course, if rates change, if the economy collapses, if suddenly M&A markets totally change or valuations totally change, that could change. But the way things are right now, this is our new strategy, and I wanted to document it here for you so that you can think about it. Again, I don't regret having done M&A this far. I'm glad we bought the businesses that we bought, and now I'm excited to pivot a bit, be an entrepreneur, and continue to grow B&B Professional Plumbing and Air across the state of Florida and beyond. With that, I'm out. If you've liked the video, thumbs it up. Share your comments below. What do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you agree? Share what you think. I'll be interested to see what you have to say. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so that you're updated and notified the next time I drop another video, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Very, 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 very last point is if you truly have the ability to build a business mostly organically using very small amounts of debt If you're able to build and scale rapidly a very, very, very large business using minimal amounts of debt, the kind of business that private equity firms really want to buy, and again, you're able to do that to a large scale with very little bit of capital, very little debt, think about how much money you're going to make in the end. And think about how much better you're going to be able to take care of your employees along the way. And think about how much better benefits you're going to be able to provide because you're not levered with lots of debt. So at the end of the day, yes, use M&A to get in the game and to build yourself a name and a reputation in a marketplace. Use M&A to go from 0 to 1 much quicker. Absolutely. Use M&A to go from 1 to 2 and maybe even from 2 to 3. And maybe use M&A to go from 1 to 100. But if along the way you realize you're able to build it faster, cheaper, and more efficiently than you're able to buy it, or if you're able to grow just as quickly organically as you'd be able to grow through M&A, but to get to that same point, you can do it for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar, why wouldn't you? And that, in a nutshell, is why we've made this decision and why we're going to proceed in a new path.